Integrative inquiry. Week 2 practice. Attention regulation.
Practice this time together with an invitation to listen to the sound of the bell. So bringing a full attention, gentle attention to listening to the sound of this bell. And this time, as I ring the bell again, perhaps you might invite in a shift of posture or taking away some distractions. Perhaps you're closing down some technology, of course not this one, but some other technology. And just see what you might want to choose in order to bring a more focused attention on listening to the sound of the bell. And with the same quality of the manner in which you place your attention on listening to the sound of the bell, let's invite that same attention into the body in the chair if you're seated. So perhaps you are pressing your feet on the floor, noticing the sensations of the seat in the chair. Seeing what it's like to invite an upright, alert, yet relaxed posture. Noticing whether the back is shifted with the pressure against the back of the chair or whether it's sitting upright away from the chair. Then invite a gentle attention to rest on noticing where the hands are placed. You may be noticing sensations of hand to hand to other body parts, hands resting on clothing or the table or the computer. And seeing what you notice with a playful curiosity, with a gentleness and a kindness as you bring that attention to the hands. Then inviting a gentle attention into the softening of the face, in particular the softening of the eyes. You might feel comfortable closing the eyes, or you might gaze down toward your computer screen on this particular picture since it's not moving. So just gazing down as if you're looking but you're not really seeing. And as you invite a gentle attention into the body parts, the body in the chair, you may notice mind wandering. You might hear sounds that you could label lightly sound. You might notice other bodily sensations. You can name whatever you're noticing. And you might notice mind wandering. Again, this natural inclination of the mind to wander. Nothing wrong with you. It's the default mode network of the brain. You might notice past and just name it past, or future thoughts, naming them future. And whenever you notice mind wandering to sound, sensation, or other bodily sensations, or other thought sensations, let's see if we can anchor our attention on the awareness of the breath sensation in the body. Sensing the inhale and the exhale. And seeing if you can just allow that attention to rest on the breath sensation in the body without controlling it. Just observing what you notice. Subtle movement in the body, perhaps the belly or the chest or the nostrils. Subtle shifts in temperature, moisture, dryness. Just a playful curiosity to noticing what you're noticing. Naming with one word. And suspending going into the story of whether it should be here, diving in deeper to judgment. Just invite the awareness to rest on the object of attention, the breath sensation in the body. Then, whenever you're ready, noticing the quality of attention without judgment, just simply observing as you invite the attention to rest on the sound sensation of the bell. Thank you. The invitation now is, if you have that pen and paper handy nearby, I invite you to pick it up and just journal on a reflection of what you noticed. And if you don't have the pen and paper nearby, you're welcome to use the chat window. Again, you can swirl around your cursor, and a little conversation bubble should pop up. You can click on that and open up the chat window. And just simply allow yourself to write whatever you're noticing. So what did you notice as we practice? Just writing whatever comes to mind for 2 minutes. Just writing whatever comes to mind. What did you notice? Avoiding judgment in what you write, avoiding critique of what you wrote or what you noticed or what your experience was. Simply sharing. And I'll ring the bell when I invite you to close your journaling process. And just gently allowing the thoughts to flow onto the paper or onto the keyboard in the chat window. So what did you notice? Allowing to write whatever comes to mind. And taking a moment to wrap up your journaling. And then bringing a gentle attention to the sound of this bell. Thank you. So what did you notice? So Rebecca shared, thank you, Rebecca, that you noticed all the room sounds that were there besides the bell. Yes. You noticed other sound sensation. Yes. And then my question would be, how did you notice you met these other sound sensations? How did you notice you met the other sound sensations? And Joan, thank you. You had a premature fear that the bell sound would be disconcerting, as last week the sound lovers were all over the place. So I guess I felt some relief today that my tech system is in better shape. Yes, so we notice a past experience coming into present moment. Yes, and noticing the emotion that can arise from having experienced something in the past, someone inviting us into a repeated experience of past, and noticing the memory and the associations of the past. Yes, I hear a lot of awareness. Thank you. And what did you notice about how you met the memory and the fear associated with the memory? Yes. And so this is what we'll be building in. Yes. And so Martha, thank you. You noticed your body attending to the sound of the bell, and particularly in your chest cavity. You noticed enjoyment of the sensation of bodily attention without the words that I'm now writing. Yeah, thank you. Yes. So lots of different experiences. Did anyone notice a difficulty inviting their attention to rest on where they were being invited to rest their attention? Yeah, that's also a normal experience that when we practice attention, but there's a lot of awareness and even noticing that mind is still wandering, noticing that I'm inviting it to gently rest on this and it's still going to past or it's going to future. Yes, and some of you are noticing gratitude for the ability to hear, and noticing a welcoming and an invitation just to be still and chill. Thank you. Yes, so lots of different experiences of this one moment with the invitation to notice. And this is also what we experience a lot in these practices, is the difference. Now, if I was tech savvy, I would invite you to break out into subgroups in Zoom where you would begin a mindful listening practice. And so, excuse me, excuse me, pardon me. I got off a plane, can you tell? So what we would be doing if I was tech savvy is I'd be inviting you to break into a chat room, and you would be moving into pairs or dyads. And I'd be inviting one of you to share about your challenge now, what you're experiencing, and then one thing you're really excited about or anything else you want to talk about. And I'd be inviting the others of you to just bring a full attention to listening. So let's chat about that a little bit. What does it mean in the chat window? What does it mean to bring a full attention to listening? A full attention to listening. What does that mean? Hey, you might be noticing a curiosity and then noticing reluctance. You might notice some inner dialogue about a story that you're going into telling about what you're hearing, or it might prompt a memory of another experience. Yes. And so the invitation here, yes, you might be reminding yourself to listen, to hear, not listen to talk. Yes, to listen to receiving. And again, in this practice of bringing a gentle attention to an object of attention, which could be anything, what we're also practicing is this effortlessness in the way we invite the attention to rest. So sometimes I notice I'm listening very intently to someone, and I'm kind of scrunching at my forehead, and I'm just like leaning in, and I'm just, ooh, like it's just effortful, focused attention. And then other times, it's almost as if I'm receiving the words and it's effortless. So there's still a focus on the invitation to allow the attention to rest on what's being heard or what's being observed. And so the invitation here is, as we move into practicing this resting of attention on an object of attention, see if you can notice the quality of attention that you bring. Yeah. Yes. And thank you for sharing. We're getting some questions about what is the difference between some meditation practices. And in this class, we're taking a very secular approach to mindful compassion practices, integrative inquiry, to cultivate mindful, compassionate leadership. And so some of you already have a meditation practice where you're bringing your attention to rest on a particular mantra, or a mantra, which is a phrase, a repeated phrase. Could be one word, could be several words. And the invitation here is with the invitation to bring attention to the breath awareness in the body. My invitation to you is, see if you can release the mantra, release your attention placed on your mantra if you're using one, and invite your attention to rest on the breath in the body. This is a different type of meditation practice, if you'd like to call it meditation, that we're inviting you into specifically because this attention regulation is a building block to many socio-emotional learning practices that we'll be diving into. It's also beginning to cultivate, holding a building block for beginning to cultivate attention on emotions and how emotions will show up in the body, which we'll begin to dive into. So as you notice the invitation to practice, see what you notice as you are invited to practice resting your attention on what you're being invited to rest your attention. And again, just suspending judgment and noticing. Which leads to this next question. What is one challenge you're experiencing right now? And again, I'd invite you to bring your attention to the chat window and feel free to chat in a challenge that you're experiencing right now, or one thing you're really excited about experiencing right now, or anything else you want to talk about, just and with regards to the mindful compassion practices. I'll just give you a moment to take a breath, a focused in and out exhale, and share what you're noticing in the chat window. So some of you are experiencing some challenges with setting aside time to practice as we invite you into these practices. And the invitation here is, as you notice this challenge, what else are you noticing? Where is your attention moving? Is it moving to worry about the future? Is it moving to thoughts around feeling maybe inner conversation around expectations that you have for yourself about how you allocate your tasks into time? What are you noticing? And the invitation is to, whenever we notice challenges, is to just invite, again, the playful curiosity to this. So noticing challenges can be an object of where we place our attention. So we could actually intentionally put our attention on noticing challenges and the experience around noticing challenges. So what do you notice in thoughts? What do you notice in sounds? What do you notice in bodily sensations? Cool. So some of you are noticing some challenges around so many things going on that it's hard to focus. And this is a very typical experience that we have is the attempt to entertain the entire to-do list or the entire calendar for the week in one moment. And so in this practice, when you notice that, and you may be noticing stress arising, the invitation is to pause, bring a gentle attention to the breath sensation in the body, and then choose where you'd like to place your attention. Perhaps it's on this block of time. Perhaps it's on this task. Perhaps it's on this conversation. Yeah. And just inviting an awareness into what you're noticing as you invite attention back to whatever you're noticing. Some of you are feeling a lot of excitement about a holiday weekend that's coming up in the United States, and some of you are looking forward to that. So you're noticing future mind and anticipation of what you will experience, and noticing that, maybe noticing all the physiological responses as you move to the future, and notice a thought in the future, or noticing excitement about plans that you have. Plans to create or co-create something. And so noticing that as well. And yes, I hear a lot of awareness here, Martha, just noticing how challenges and excitement and anxiety, stress can all be rolled into one. And this is a beautiful awareness I hear. And this is the beauty of attention, that it can shift in just microseconds. It will shift from one thing to another. And our invitation is to simply just notice, attention resting here, attention resting here, attention resting here. And then get into playful curiosity about what we're beginning to notice as physiological responses to where we're placing our attention. Sound fun? Yeah, fun. All right, cool. So again, this invitation is that we can place our attention, invite our attention to rest on any object of attention, whether it's thoughts in the past, future, right here, right now, physiological sensations, breath sensation in the body. And what we're practicing here is that noticing where our attention is placed. We call this awareness, the noticing of a noticing of where the attention is placed. And then inviting in some inquiry. Is this where I'd like to focus now? Is this where I'd like to focus now? And as we also talked about in this week, attention can be focused on placing or can be open. And I heard of some of you experiencing this when you noticed the sound of the bell and you also noticed other sounds. So in the open attention practice, it's like we're just receiving what's here. We're noticing sounds and sights, and we're just allowing it to come without effort, right? An open awareness. This is here, and this is here, and this is here. And in open awareness, it's almost as if we're able to, because the awareness is happening, the attention is happening so fast, 1/300th of a second, I think, is what the research is saying. And I may have that wrong, but we can notice stuff that fast. And if we're not jumping on to clinging to something and then telling a story about it, we can then begin to notice so many more things in the present moment, so many more sensations, thought, sight, sound, physiological sensations in this present moment. And we might even notice how they shift so quickly. And how might that be useful as a leader? How might that be useful? What do you think? Love to hear from you in the chat window. How might noticing the moving from focused attention that we need to get our work done to open awareness as we maybe transition from one meeting to another, from one classroom to another, or just that simple resting and noticing what's coming. Yeah, it's we may be able, what's the benefit of that? We may be able to see things that we weren't noticing before because our attention was so focused, and then mind wandering began to tell a story about what we were noticing rather than receive. Yeah, this is a practice. Yeah. So as we talked about, we can bring an attention to, we can bring a gentle attention to any object. And what we've been inviting you to do in these practices is, again, we've been using the awareness of breath sensation in the body as a foundational practice, because what we understand from that is then we can begin to build in some emotion regulation, some space between the stimulus and the reaction, and the stimulus and the wise response. So sometimes it's difficult for the mind to settle into awareness of breath sensation in the body. Sometimes, as some of you shared, we're moving so quickly and our schedules are so tight and condensed, and there are so many demands on us as leaders, as educators, that at the end of the day, we might notice that we've barely even breathed. we have barely even taken a moment to bring a gentle attention to focus on the breath in the body. And then when we invite in an opportunity to still the mind, to calm the mind, we notice it almost feels like, oh, rumination is spinning, 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 spinning. And when you notice that, then perhaps bringing attention to movement may be useful. And depending on how much stress or anxiety you're noticing in the body or in the mind, bringing attention to movement with an inhale and an exhale may be useful. And so I invite you, if you're able to, let's just practice a little bit of this. We don't need to get a mat, a yoga mat or anything. You don't even need to stand if you're not standing. So just, again, just bringing the body, attention to the body in the chair, or perhaps you might want to stand. Bringing a gentle attention to the breath sensation in the body. And then on your next inhale, seeing if you can see what it feels like to raise your right arm as high as it feels comfortable going with the inhale, and as slowly as you can with that inhale, and then exhaling, lowering the arm. And so perhaps you're noticing the breath is short, so you might be inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. And then see if you can extend the exhale for the lowering and extend the lowering of the arm. Just be playful. So sometimes we're focusing our attention and just allowing what is there to be. And with movement, we're actually seeing if we can match the movement of the inhale to the movement of the exhale. You can switch arms if you'd like. Inhale, exhale. Maybe both arms, inhale, exhale. And just continuing to just simply move the arms with the inhale and the exhale. Noticing what you're noticing without going into the story. You may be noticing a change in the weight of the arms. Maybe noticing movement in clothing or temperature. See if you can get really curious about what you're noticing as you move with an inhale and an exhale. And then when you're ready, gently just coming to a pause and checking in with the body. What are you noticing? What's the quality of the breath sensation in this moment? What are you noticing in the body? Has anything shifted? How about the mind? Did you notice it wandering less during movement with breath or more with movement with breath? Again, no right or wrong, just noticing. And feel free to use the chat window to share what you're noticing. And you can do this practice anytime throughout the day. Sometimes your body might invite a stretch. You can inhale, arms overhead, and then exhale, stretch to the right. Inhale, center, exhale to the left, and inhale and even bowing down, bending at the waist, maybe shaking at the head, or inhaling the head around, exhaling it in the other direction, and just noticing what you're noticing. So yes, so some of you are noticing much less pressure, mental activity, noticing a sense of relief and relaxation. You notice that you're more focused when you have movement with it. Yes, a lot of practitioners notice this. And so this is especially important to give yourself this grace and this kindness. And if you're inviting these practices into your in-classroom settings or your out-of-classroom settings, just inviting in some movement before starting a meeting, and just seeing if that helps bring the attention right here, bringing the body and the mind into the same moment. Yes. Yes, and you're noticing some sensations in the body you ignored before: close, pulse, temperature, and pressure. Thank you, Stephen. Yes, this is also an invitation. I hear just so much beautiful awareness. Thank you. So our invitation to you is at any time you may be inviting yourself to bring an attention to the breath sensation in the body, and you might be finding that the mind keeps going to the past or it's going to the future. And you might notice that you're beginning to become aggravated with yourself, and we'll practice some more self-compassion. Just offer yourself some kindness and validation. Of course you're feeling aggravated. It was a day that went like this with lots of demands, or half a day, wherever you're finding yourself in the day, or just your morning is going like that. And see if you can practice just bringing a gentle inhale and exhale to the movement, and just see what you notice next without judgment. Sound fun? Okay. Any other thoughts or questions with regard to that practice? And again, what we're noticing, anything can be the object of attention. So I will practice this more in weeks to come, but one of the practices I love is bringing a gentle attention to walking as I transition from meeting to meeting, meeting to classroom, or even meeting to the restroom, the water closet, is practicing counting how many steps I take with each inhale, counting how many steps I take with each exhale. And it allows me to come back to right here, right now, and then notice people in the hallway and offer kind greetings, right? Instead of not seeing anyone because I'm rehashing something in the past, or looking toward the next meeting and the planning of what will happen and how I will respond, right? Anybody resonate with that? Yeah. You can even do this with sitting down at your chair. You can just breathe in. Thanks, Carrie. Breathe in and stand, exhale and sit down. So all types of opportunities to bring our attention to movement with breath during our regular day. We don't always have to have a scheduled movement practice like Tai Chi or yoga or Qigong or running. We can bring it into our just normal day-to-day activities. Beautiful, thank you. Feel free again to use that chat window at any time. You have questions, thoughts, ideas, comments, okay? All right, so one of the things that we notice about attention regulation practice is that setting an intention for where we would like to place our attention is incredibly useful in regulating attention. And this can look like a number of things. It can be mean being invited to the mindful listening practice and saying, wow, I'm going to set the intention to bring a full attention to listening. I set an intention when I'm doing some research. I was chatting with some colleagues at the Detroit Creative School, at the School for Creative Studies in Detroit just yesterday, when we were looking at these practices and seeing where they could be integrated into their classroom setting and out of classroom setting. And what we noticed the importance together, we noticed the importance of setting the intention for bringing attention to a certain place, especially when it comes to creative practices. Often creative minds feel a stress in feeling like I have a deadline and I have to create something or co-create something by this deadline. So simply bringing an intention to saying, I'm going to invite in creativity, and I'm going to begin this practice of investing in co-creation of creativity or creation of creativity with a setting of intention that might be inviting in overall well-being, kindness, calling on all your wisdom traditions to come forth with you, calling on all the teachers who have gifted you with lessons. So inviting this intention into the present moment. And then, similar to open awareness, see if we can just open our attention to receiving what comes next without judgment and just moving with it. In a writing process or a sculpting process or a design process, or even, yes, Stephen, data analysis process, right? Yes, all of this is actually a lot of creation or interpretation of data or a reading of a theory and seeing what you're noticing. So in this practice of setting intentions, and again, please use that chat window whenever you'd like to for questions, comments, etc. In this practice of setting intentions, there's a particular meditation practice I learned from the Chopra Center for Wellbeing, and I enjoy it so much I'd love to share it with you. And in this practice, what I'll be doing is I'll just be inviting into your awareness, your noticing of your noticing, with this open, spacious awareness, right? Just allowing whatever comes to come to you, and see what you notice with each question. And then see if you can notice what you notice that's coming to you without going into the judgment of it or without attaching yourself to it and like going, gosh, I got to remember that, right? That was a great idea, or wow, I never thought of that before. Got to remember that. And when you notice that, just see if you can release that. So think about this as, in the releasing process, think about this as looking at a big sky, an open sky, and you might notice birds flying through the sky. And you notice the bird and it's just coming and going. Or another analogy of this coming and going that I enjoy is leaves falling from a tree. You notice the leaves falling and then they go. And then they're just gone. So see if we can bring that gentle letting go to what we're noticing as we're noticing. All right? Sound good? Okay. So the invitation here is, let's invite us a gentle focused attention on the body in the chair. Noticing the feet on the floor, the seat, the cushion, the back upright, alert yet relaxed. Noticing where the hands are placed. And then bringing a gentle attention to softening the eyes, or perhaps looking on this image that's not moving. So it's as if you're looking but not really seeing. You might be noticing sound sensations, other thought sensations, and see if you can simply let them go as you bring a focused attention now to the breath sensation in the body. And again, just noticing distractions, sound, other bodily sensations, thought sensations. See if you can name them with one word and then just allow them to drift away or float away. And as we move from this focused attention on the breath sensation in the body to just noticing an open awareness of what thoughts are coming to you with each question. Remembering that you can always bring a gentle attention back to the breath sensation in the body, perhaps bringing a hand to the belly or the chest to anchor you back into right here, right now. As then you listen to the next question and notice with open awareness what's coming. No right or wrong, just noticing. Okay. First question. Who am I? Who am I? Just noticing with open awareness. You're noticing without judgment. Now allowing to release that bird passing through the sky or the leaves falling, what you're noticing in response to that question, and bringing a gentle attention back to the breath sensation in the belly. Next question. What do I want? What do I want? And just allow what's coming into your awareness to be there without grabbing hold of it, without judging it. Just a gentle noticing what you're noticing. Then releasing what you're noticing, bringing a gentle attention to the breath awareness in the body. Next question. What is my life's purpose? What is my life's purpose? Again, just noticing what's coming to you. Seeing if you can notice, perhaps even name with one word. Avoiding the grasping or the resistance. Just allow. Then releasing what you're noticing and bringing a gentle attention to rest in the breath sensation in the belly. And final question. For what am I grateful? For what am I grateful? Again, noticing what's arising. It's moving into awareness, noticing of what you're noticing. What may be falling away. Seeing if you can suspend with gentle kindness the judgment of what you're noticing or the desire to grasp and hang on. Then, whenever you're ready, gently releasing attention on what you're noticing, and invite a focused attention to rest on the breath sensation in the belly. And as you invite that focused attention, gentle focused attention to rest on the breath sensation, you might not notice mind going back to a thought you just had, a question you just had. See if you can just allow that to float away and invite a gentle attention back to the breath sensation in the belly. And then, whenever you're ready, let's wiggle our fingers, perhaps move your feet a little bit. Invite a gentle attention back to the monitor if it's not already there. And the invitation now is to get that pen and paper out and journal for 2 minutes. Again, I'll mind the time. And journal on 2 minutes to just whatever's coming to you, what you're noticing when you responded to this. Who am I? What do I want? What is my life's purpose? And what am I grateful for? Okay, please begin, and I will be back in a moment, just writing whatever's coming to mind, seeing if you can suspend the judgment. Who am I? What do I want? What is my life's purpose? And what am I grateful for? And again, just seeing if you can write whatever's coming to mind without really feeling like attached to it. Just allow it to come, allow it to flow. And now inviting you to wrap up your thoughts about what you noticed here, your journaling process. And if you'd like, feel free to share from your experience. What did you notice as you practiced this practice? What did you notice? What's alive for you right now? What are you noticing? As you practice this intention setting practice of really exploring, who am I? What do I want? What is my life's purpose? And for what am I grateful? And while you're writing in the chat window, some of you may be wondering, what do those questions have to do with intention? Intention for living, intention for where I place my attention. So what we understand is wherever our intention is, our attention follows. So if my intention is to say, pick apart all the flaws of a colleague, guess where my attention will go? My attention will go to picking apart I will see all the flaws, and that's all I will see, because that's my intention, and therefore my attention will follow. And the other piece of this is that as I look at all my calendar and the choices for how I allocate tasks to my calendar, if I move out of awareness of my intention for who I understand I am, what I believe I want to co-create in life, what my life's purpose is, why I'm actually here, and for what I'm grateful for. If I am not holding that in awareness, then I will lose sight of my intention to continue to co-create life choices around purpose. Okay, life choices around purpose. So this practice of reflecting on these questions and then moving throughout the day with this intention of who I am, what do I want to create, what is my life's purpose, then I can look at options and size them up and say, that's not really moving me forward in the intention of the life I'd love to live. Right? That's maybe moving me away. Okay. All right, so Rebecca, all the positives I came up with, only at the very end. Did I have some critical ideas and I could gently give those up? Yeah, insightful. And again, in this course, we're just noticing what we're noticing. We're not trying to psychologize about why it's that way, okay? We're not trying to figure out the why of it. We're just noticing with a gentle kindness. I noticed this, I noticed this. Not the why we notice what we're noticing, all right? Cool? Sound fun? Sound light? Yeah. And Joan, you noticed very challenging on question number 1 to get away from labels. I'm frustrated that I respond initially with trivia. I hear a lot of awareness there. So just again, noticing this, what we're noticing, and then noticing the stories that we go into about whether we like what we're noticing or whether we like how we're noticing. Yeah, I hear a lot of beautiful awareness. And then again, just seeing what we notice, like, ooh, I noticed that I'm really into the story of liking what I noticed or not liking what I noticed. Wow. And now I notice I'm into the story of noticing how and judging how I'm noticing. Yeah, and see if we can just go, just label that. Wow, now I'm into the yum and yuck of what I'm noticing, and wow, now I'm noticing the yum and yuck of how I'm noticing. These are all a lot of awareness. So just beautiful practicing I'm hearing. Yeah, and seeing if we can suspend that judgment each time we notice that inner critic or outer critic. Cool? Yes, and that the power of noticing where our intention is. And so you might notice that inclination. You know, in education, we cultivate a critical, analytical mind, and so what that can create is, for me, I'll use my I language. I have my whole career has been in using methodology to find where improvements can be made. And so I notice my inclination is always to notice what's going wrong and what can be improved, right? And so I need to cultivate the intention of, and my intention is to empower others in this noticing also, and joining me in the noticing of what's going wrong and in the noticing of what can be improved, but empower that with a very compassionate heart and compassionate mind. Yeah. So intention then allows attention to follow. Yeah, isn't that fun? Yeah, and so you might not have noticing. Thank you, Martha, for sharing. You might have noticed that nothing really came to you in the first 3 questions, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just noticed, I noticed nothing's coming. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just notice, maybe spaciousness, right? Spaciousness, nothing in particular. Come back to the breath, ask the next question. Yeah, and that's just the practice. Beautiful, beautiful. And grateful for being a social worker, facilitating. So you're grateful for what you do, Mike. Thank you. Beautiful. Yeah. And just noticing beautiful forgiveness. Powerful. I just hear so much powerful awareness. I'm so happy to be on this journey with you. Okay, and I better get moving. So I'm looking at the time. As we move forward, again, the invitation to notice what you're noticing. Anything can be the object of your attention. So notice that with that playful curiosity, not striving, not avoiding, just noticing, practicing a lot of grace for yourself and what's being noticed. Grace for yourself and what's being noticed. Also kindness toward what's being noticed. And self-caring. And then seeing if you can avoid being attached to the yum or yuck of it. Just noticing that and going, there's yum, there's yuck. Seeing if you can just notice it passing. And just, and as we move on in our practice, we'll begin to diving in a little bit more about what is this? What is I'm noticing? Not in an analytical, I gotta fix this, I gotta change this, but just a curiosity. What is it? Naming with one word. And gentle acceptance of what is. Remembering that acceptance of what is in the moment does not mean accepting the cause of what we're noticing. Okay, that's another class. All right, so questions, comments. We are moving to the end of our time together. Questions and comments. You're welcome to also use our course listserv. Some of you are posting some beautiful insights into your practice. Some of you are posting questions. They're all welcome to just remembering the guidelines that we have committed to in co-creating our container for discovery. So as you post, please keep those guidelines in mind. Set the intention to move into those guidelines. Cool. All right. And if no questions or comments, the invitation is if you have a buddy, a practice buddy, connect with your buddy. Post us questions on it says course site, but in this case, we have the listserv. And practice focused breathing, bringing a gentle attention to the breath sensation in the body. Invite in practicing some gentle attention into movement, breath in the body. There's a 2-minute journal assignment on the course site. And I think we haven't loaded the weekly poems, so I better get on it and load those. All right. And if I can be of service, again, don't hesitate to sing out with how I can be of service. Any questions or ideas that you might have? We have a comment here. Yeah, really helped to zoom in your focus. Yeah, gentle, yes. Thank you, Aha, for sharing. Just noticing, just setting an intention to be more gentle with oneself. Beautiful, beautiful. I hear a lot of awareness. Where's the journal? We don't, in this free version of the course, we don't have a journal section on the course website because the LMS, the learning management systems cost money. But we do have a journaling question posed, and the invitation is for you to journal on that in your own private way. Okay, thanks for that question, Martha. Yeah, oh, and noticing, beautiful, a lot of awareness, noticing relief at anxiety of not having missed homework. A relief at anxiety of having missed homework. Yeah. Isn't it an amazing thought? Physiological reaction. Nothing wrong with you. This is how we're built. Okay, dear friends, such a joy. I look forward to seeing you next week. So the invitation now is to look on your website, go into week 3 video, and practice with gentle kindness. Thank you all so much for being here. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take good care.